Sergio Perez has always been a fast racing driver. He showed that in the GP2 series in 2010, where he took 5 victories, including a fabulous comeback drive in the Germany sprint race.
Just driving away from the opposition, making it look very simple. Second sprint race win in a row for Sergio Perez.
Midway through 2010, he had already come to the attention of the F1 teams, as he was signed by the Sauber team for the 2011 season to drive alongside Kamui Kobayashi. As an F1 driver would be, he was very apprehensive about his goals for the new season.
My aim is to learn a lot, to gain a lot of experience, and to show my potential. I want to show my potential in my first year.
However, he would immediately make an impression as he finished in 7th on his Grand Prix debut, beating his more experienced teammate Kamui Kobayashi before both cars were disqualified for a technical infringement. He would finish the year 16th after a further 5-point finishes on 14 points in an uncompetitive car. However, 2012, with a much improved car, the expectations were a lot higher. He made his mark in the rain-affected 2012 Malaysian Grand Prix as he came oh so close to winning the race until he made a bad mistake. He still went on to finish in 2nd. The impressive Mexican driver continued to impress, finishing on the podium 2 more times in 2012 in Canada and Italy. He finished the year 10th. That is when he was snapped up by McLaren, to whom he signed for 2013. Despite an uncompetitive car, Perez continued to impress, matching his teammate Jenson Button and finishing in the points in 6 of the last 7 races of the season. McLaren would then make a controversial decision to drop him to make way for the 2013 Formula Renault 3.5 champion Kevin Magnussen. However, with the help of McLaren, he managed to secure a seat at the Force India team. The impressive Mexican continued to impress as he not only matched the highly rated Nico Hulkenberg for much of the season, he also scored Force India's first podium since 2009 in Bahrain. He endured a strong season and ended up 10th. 2015, however, looked like it was going to be a lot more difficult as the team were only able to get their 2015 car out for the final pre-season test. However, the strong driver with him, don't bet against the undisputed Mexican having another good season.
The pre-season testing is over. Now begins the real work for the teams as they aim for the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships. Round 1 of a tough race calendar begins here in Australia. Anthony Davidson joins me in the commentary box for the first practice session of the season. The teams will be visiting tracks across 5 continents as they battle it out for both the Drivers' and the Constructors' Championships. What race on the calendar do you think the teams will have a special eye on this year?
Well, I think the teams will be looking forward to the Mexican Grand Prix, which is being held back at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. It was last run way back in 1992.
This year sees Honda return to the sport, reforming one of the greatest partnerships in F1 history with McLaren. Do you think they can rekindle the success they had during the 80s and the 90s?
It won't be easy, but yes, I think so. It's been a tough few years for McLaren with the loss of Hamilton, Mercedes withdrawing as a shareholder and major investor in the team, and losing technical director Paddy Lowe. This could mark the start of their return to prominence.
Well, what's up guys, it's Matty Gaming HD here and welcome to Checo's Charge to Glory, where we are going to follow Sergio Perez in his 5th season in Formula 1, his 2015 season, his 2nd season with Force India, and see how he gets on in that VJ ML8 F1 car. After he endured a good season last year, he had high expectations for this year. Now, let's go into the qualifying report. After a long winter, there was excitement in the air as qualifying for the season opener was about to get underway. Manor were mere days between making the grid and folding completely before a rescue deal was put in place. However, they struggled as both their new drivers Stevens and Mary filled up the back row. One of the big talking points for this year was McLaren switching back to Honda power for the first time in nearly 30 years. However, they endured a shocker as they both qualified in a shocking 17th and 18th. Lotus's new E23 showed improvements over its mediocre predecessor. However, whilst Pastor Maldonado made Q3, Romain Grosjean failed to make it past Q1. It was mixed fortunes for the Force India pairing after a tough winter, Sergio Perez put in an impressive performance qualifying 5th, whilst Hulkenberg qualified 10 places behind in 15th. After a terrible 2014, Sauber were hoping for better things in 2015 with a new lineup. The 2015 car seemed to be an improvement as they qualified in 11th and 14th. There was much talk about Toro Rosso having signed 2 rookies, Carlos Sainz Jr. and 17-year-old Max Verstappen. They struggled slightly, however, as they could only manage 12th and 13th. In the top 10, Red Bull struggled as they could only manage 8th and 9th, behind the 2 Williams, who qualified in 6th and 7th. After a tough 2014, Ferrari were hoping for an improvement come 2015. It looked like they'd done just that, as Raikkonen qualified 4th, whilst Vettel did even better and qualified on the front row. It was Nico Rosberg who was able to secure pole position, whilst the reigning champion Lewis Hamilton could only manage 3rd. The scene was now set for an enthralling Australian Grand Prix.
The crowd are here and they're here in numbers for the first race of the season. Welcome to the Australian Grand Prix. What a great start to the season for Nico Rosberg. He's on pole for today's race. He'll be delighted with how qualifying went yesterday, but knows there's a lot of hard work to come before he can secure that race win.
Well, Nico will be focused on the task at hand. He's on pole position, he's proven his speed, and if he can just stay out in front, he should be able to create a gap. So I think he's got a good chance of victory today, as long as he has no car issues along the way.
It was a disappointing day for Fernando Alonso yesterday. He's starting further down the grid than he would have liked, but he'll still be hoping for a strong result today.
Well, Fernando is a great starter, and he'll be looking to make up a few places on that first lap to try and get himself back into a position that he's more familiar with.
Obviously, we are now sitting on the grid, here on the starting grid, for the Australian Grand Prix. Just calmly sitting here on the grid, obviously making sure that all the final settings have been executed correctly, and we are almost ready for the off for the 2015 season. Here we go. Here we go. We have the lights in Melbourne. Lights out and away we go. And Nico Rosberg at the front gets a good start. Now on board with Sergio Perez. He seems to have got a reasonable start. He's a bit tentative going into the first corner, making sure he has no attack from behind. And he's exited the first corner. But behind, Pastor Maldonado has dive-bombed both Williams and has sent both one, caused quite a blocker behind. As you can see, Perez being a little bit tentative there behind Kimi Raikkonen. Obviously still in 5th place. He runs a little bit wide, but because of Maldonado dive-bombing both Williams cars, Perez has quite a gap to behind. Anyway, now moving on to lap 2 now. This is the battle ahead. And here we've got Felipe Massa and Pastor Maldonado battling it out ahead. Here you've got Valtteri Bottas down the inside of the home hero Daniel Ricciardo, whilst Maldonado and Massa battered out ahead. Now heading into the 3rd to last corner. But Maldonado has hit Massa off. And this has allowed Kvyat and Bottas through. Bottas has gained 3 positions in the space of a few corners. And this is absolutely critical for our race, because now Bottas has completely closed the gap to us. Now we're on lap 6, and you can see Perez is struggling. It looks like Bottas is going to make the move soon. But Bottas actually pitted at the end of that lap. So, obviously hoping for the undercut. And immediately, Perez responded by pitting a lap later. Obviously, on worn options, as he enters the pits. It's a good stop from the team. But he has to wait for the Sauber and the Toro Rosso and the Lotus, and that surely cost him time. Very unlucky there for Sergio Perez. And Bottas has gone through, I believe. That was Bottas going past. Yes, Checo did have to wait, but to be honest, I think he still would have been ahead anyway. I think Bottas did a better strategy than us. And now Perez is just ahead of Pastor Maldonado, who's now under huge pressure from Felipe Massa as they head down towards turn 3. They're side by side in the braking zone. Felipe Massa's going to try and fight his way around the outside. They're still side by side, but Massa has made that move stick going into turn 4. decent move there from the Williams driver. And that is crucial for our race, because now Felipe Massa is right behind us. Obviously he's got a better exit as they head down the straight. And obviously he's got more power with the DRS. But that's Daniel Ricciardo exiting the pits. And Massa's had to back off. And this has actually held up Maldonado, because he now runs wide and he's lost out to Verstappen and Grosjean. But Ricciardo there kind of saved Perez from losing the position. But Felipe Massa's now right behind Daniel Ricciardo as they now head into the turn 11. And Massa's got through. Obviously the Renault engine is underpowered, so Massa could easily make that move. Now Massa's right behind Perez. Now as they head down to turn 13, now into turn 14, they're side by side, but Perez is able to defend the position as they now head towards the end of the lap. Obviously Daniel Ricciardo there behind, the home hero, obviously wanting to buy into this as well. Now Felipe Massa's got DRS and he has the slipstream and he's got the inside, and Perez has run wide, and this has allowed Massa through, and Daniel Ricciardo with more momentum is able to take advantage as well, whilst the Lotus runs wide behind as they head now into turn 3. Now Perez has Danny Kvyat for company. Obviously Perez is really struggling for pace on the hard tyres, and here comes Kvyat, who's able to get down the inside. But now Perez is able to switch back to the inside as they head into chicane. But there's a bit of contact. Kvyat hangs it round the outside and is able to defend the position. And obviously he's going to have to be careful because the Sauber wants to get involved. Now Perez pitted at the end of that lap, obviously hoping for an undercut. You can see Daniel Ricciardo in the pits ahead as well. Obviously his team are awaiting him, putting him onto another set of the prime tyre, the medium tyre, and he's exited the pits behind Grosjean and Verstappen, who I think have already pitted, so that's a bit of overtaking that Perez is going to have to do. But the undercut has worked, as he has managed to jump Danny Kvyat in the pit stops, which really is going to help our race. Now he's caught up to the back of Max Verstappen, the 17-year-old, in his first ever F1 race. Obviously we know he's very aggressive, and he is going to put up a fight, because obviously nothing's going to frighten Max Verstappen. They're side by side towards the end of the lap, and Max Verstappen still is sticking in there, obviously hoping to maintain the position, but Perez has the inside going into the final corner and is able to defend the position. Now he is right behind Romain Grosjean, obviously in the hope that he's going to be able to make the moves stick, because he still thinks that Grosjean's already pitted, but Grosjean actually pitted at the end of that lap, so he was very much wrong. So Perez is now up into 7th place. Anyway, further down the field, and oh, we have an incident there. That's Will Stevens and Marcus Ericsson coming together, and Will Stevens' car is in a bit of a dangerous position, and Kimi Räikkönen has hit him. Both have lost their front wings, and that is going to totally wreck both of their races. I think, to be honest, Stevens was at fault for there, because he parked his car in a kind of a silly place, and he also kind of hit Ericsson. But now Perez is in for his final pit stop. Let's see how his team are going to be able to get this stop, because if it's a good stop, then he might stand a chance of catching up with Daniel Ricciardo towards the end. He had to wait for Felipe Massa, but it was a reasonable stop, not anything that would stop him from being able to catch up to the cars ahead. There is Daniel Ricciardo, who's ahead, obviously, and Perez is now free to go after him, or so he thought, because there's Roberto Merhi, who has to be lapped, and now heading towards the middle of that lap, Roberto Merhi is not getting out of the way. He forces Perez onto the grass. I'm not sure what he's doing there. He has the racing line, and there's contact, and both have spun, or both have been held up. And Perez has been really held up by all this. To be honest, I really do not know what Mary was doing there. And now Nasser gets through, and he's going to try to get past Mary, but they both collide. And this allowed Perez back through, but it's damaged Perez's front wing, which has eliminated all chance of him catching up to Ricciardo, which has also caused him to use up all his time. But anyway, at the front, it's Nico Rosberg, who's going to take his second Australian Grand Prix victory in a row. He wins in Australia. And Sergio Perez, despite being reeled in by Danny Kvyat at quite a rate, obviously because of the damage to the front wing, Perez is going to finish in 8th place. Raikkonen actually had to pit once again, so he finished in 7th. But a bit of a disappointing race for Sergio Perez. But 8th place, considering the fact that Force India had troubles during testing getting that car out on time, I think Checo will take 8th, especially as his teammate, as you can see, finished down in 17th place, 2 laps down. I'm not sure what happened to him, but a very interesting race for... It was definitely an exciting race for Checo. Now in the championship standings, obviously a direct reflection. Anyway, it's been Matty Gaming HD. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. For Checo's Path to Power, Justin Sampson, which is starting next week, and Battle of the Manor series and vlogs. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you for my next video. Goodbye.